This is the Page Publishing Book Club. I'm your host, Alice Stockton Rossini. Rob Barretts is my engineer. Hey, we had to do something. It's Halloween, All Hallows Eve. It's upon us. And we begin with a book that fits right in with ghost seekers, cemetery dwellers, and things that go bump in the night. Margaret Wright's penned Buried Secrets of the Storm. And you say your pen name is a tribute to your mom.
My mother was a historian in Wilmington, North Carolina. Her name was Margaret Rogers. And I've always kind of been curious and interested in history and stories, and especially ghost stories. My name is Angela Newsom, but my writing name is Margaret Wright because with my mother, and she was always writing. My middle name is Margaret.
Okay.
So I just came up with Margaret Wright as a tribute to my mother, who wrote most of her life.
Is your mom a published author?
She is. Most of her books were in regards to historic artifacts, and I thought this would be a great tribute to her if I were able to write a book and get it published.
Yeah.
I just one day decided I'm just going to do it. You know, I have a crazy imagination and this generally twisted imagination, and I have my two sons who are co-writers in the book, and we sat and wrote and came out with a book that apparently has really taken our area by storm.
Really?
It's the ending, really, that seems to have captured most people's curiosity. And I wanted to write a book that sort of made you feel like you were there, you know, as you were reading it. And I've been told by other published authors that my book seems to capture that, and it's not something that you can do very often. So as an unknown writer and someone who just thrives on mystery and suspense, The Shining was one of the movies that I absolutely loved. Where there's always a twist to the story, and so I did.
King.
Stephen King, exactly. And it turned out to be a book that's taken off so far, and I'm just as proud as I can be to have actually authored and published a book.
How does the story go?
Well, the story is about a lady. She's an author, Lisa Brennan, and Lisa has spent her life battling her own dark nightmares and twisted visions from which she can't escape. And as a writer, you know, she uses the pages of her books to share her dark secrets and find momentary relief from torment. She locks herself away from society and develops a cold, hostile exterior that thinly veils her otherness. She moves to 4014 Cemetery Hill Lane in a small town in Virginia, and chilling noises and strange events begin to pull at the threads of her sanity. She embarks on a journey to unlock the secrets that lay hidden in the dark and twisting halls of the house, which are inexplicably linked to her own inner suffering. So this is the first series, Buried Secrets of the Storm. It's a fresh take on a ghost story combined with a psychological thriller.
Just in time for Halloween.
Just in time for Halloween, exactly. As a matter of fact, I had a book signing on September 16th with someone you might know. His name is Graham Hetrick. I'm a huge fan of the ID channel. I'm an addict, and he is actually the coroner on the ID channel. He comes on Mondays. The nicest guy, but we had a wonderful event at Del Walter's house. He's one of the former journalists here in Leesburg. And because he grew up on a cemetery in a funeral home, and my book is about a woman who moves into a gorgeous home built in a cemetery, you know, we had a lot to talk about, and it was so fascinating. I was totally just amazed. I've had several book signings and just had a lot of fun. We're looking forward to more. I'd love to come out there to New York, as a matter of fact. I'm sure there are a lot of mystery and suspense folks out there that we can talk to. Let me tell you one more thing before I let you go. This is incredible. I took a ghost tour in Alexandria on their ghost tour, graveyard tour that they have. And I snapped pictures while I was there. And as I was going on the tour, he was speaking to me. I was more interested in what was going on in the dark than what he was saying. Got home and took a look at the film, and there's a ghost woman with a veil in the cemetery on one of my photos. And from what I understand, there's a mystery lady, a mystery woman that actually exists there. And just other things were happening. I was hearing noises like singing spirituals, and it's just amazing. You know, I thought, this is incredible.
You're onto
That
something.
just happened. Thank you so much. And please visit MargaretWright.com.
I will.
You'll enjoy it.
Thanks.
Okay. Take
Bye-bye.
care.
Speaking of scary, ever checked into a hospital and the nurses are a nightmare? Barb Page is trying to change that experience with her book entitled Performance-Based Nursing. Barb.
I have 30 years of business experience, but I was also a nurse for a long time in critical care areas. And so what I really did was combine my business and marketing knowledge with the nursing industry and applied a business model to a healthcare model. So performance-based nursing is a client service model for nursing. The way customers are treated by the health professionals or other healthcare workers. In the neonatal ICU, you know, we are very attuned to parents and their families. But, you know, there's a lot of other areas where you're in the hospital, you're not getting a great experience. You don't know what to do when you're discharged. You get home and things happen. Who do you call? You know, you're in the hospital and the nurses are mostly working on their computers. It's not a great experience all along. And we basically have a consumer healthcare world now where you are in charge of what's going to happen to you. And say you get breast cancer tomorrow. Where do you even begin? Where do you start? And you need help. And I think nurses can be leaders in this. They can literally take this model, which has 4 key elements, and really help a patient through their journey.
What are the 4 key elements?
Communications and conversation. How best to communicate with the patient and their family. And I also mean you might be an outpatient, you might have a chronic disease like diabetes or congestive heart failure that you deal with at home. But really understanding it and having communications and conversation with your healthcare workers is very important for consumers to engage in their own healthcare. Another pillar is the actual healthcare client experience. We map out the different touch points someone might have in their healthcare experience and look at different pain points and moments of truth and find those areas where you can really help a client at very specific times in their healthcare journey. Another pillar is business savvy. So if a nurse doesn't really know how her company works, how the company makes money, it's very difficult to really get a whole picture on how to deliver an experience. Because your healthcare experience is not only your interaction with the nurse and the doctor, it's how you pay your bills. It's how you save to pay your bills. The whole understanding and having some business savvy around understanding what the patient is going through. And the last pillar really is care and compassion. Most nurses have this innate, built in, but not all of them. You know, and today we also have a lot of nurses where English is their second language. And so I think having a model in place where you have these 4 elements really can help a nurse understand how to take someone along their healthcare experience.
Is this going to become required reading in every hospital in America?
I would love for the nursing industry to step up and say, hey, we are going to own the healthcare experience from start to finish and along the journey. And we've been doing this in business for years. Look at the Starbucks experience, okay? What's your name? Alice. Okay, when your coffee's ready, Alice, your coffee's ready. You feel like you know the barista. Do you know every nurse's name that's coming to take care of you in the hospital or in the clinic? It is just sometimes basic etiquette, communications, conversation, and compassion. I mean, let's start with it in the nursing schools. Let's teach it there and make it foundational and make it innate.
Yes. Are you going to do that?
My next steps are to create some tools that I can teach this, potentially some webinars, some speaking opportunities. I'm very excited about it because I think that performance-based nursing can create great experiences for people. Definitely now is the time to have this.
I couldn't agree more with that, Barb. Thank you so much. Tracy Gillis wrote The Boy and the Magic Shell. It's a magical romp through the deep blue sea with mermaids, magic, and seashells. So you live near seashells, Tracy?
No, I don't. I live in Fargo, North Dakota.
Wow. How's Fargo?
Oh, it's awesome, actually.
So what's your book about?
Well, you know what? I have it in front of me. I'm just going to read the back page because it's just easier, and then I don't have to think so much. It's just a 13-year-old Justin has about had it with his sister and her friend. When he goes to the beach in his little harbor town to blow off some steam, he comes across a shell necklace. The necklace ends up belonging to an underwater world full of mermaids and magic. When a British dolphin mistakes him for a merboy because of his necklace, he takes him to the mermaid colony where a mergirl, Cora, befriends him and tries to get him back home before he is trapped in his underwater world forever.
What inspired that?
I have so many books and movies and thoughts that I have created, and this is just one that I had made into an animation film, and then decided. I talked to one of the guys that wrote Finding Nemo, David, and he told me, you got to make it into a children's book. He's like, too many kids are going to miss out if you don't make that into a children's book right now. So that's why I did it. But where the actual beginning came from, it kind of came to me back in like, I think 2009 or 10. It was probably a dream. A lot of my stuff comes from a dream, or maybe we go to the beaches and stuff. I love Florida. Maybe it was inspired, and I love dolphins. So yeah, my dolphin guy, he's got a British accent just to make him more entertaining. But
Okay, so you have all these ideas in your head. Are you a writer in real life?
Well, yeah, I this is my second book. Actually, honestly, I'm a healer. I'm a massage therapist that's been doing that for over 15 years. I've got a lot of tools under my belt, and I help people feel better.
That's a good thing.
Yeah, and it works perfectly with writing because it's only an hour commitment at a time with that job.
Yeah.
And then I can work on writing when I'm not massaging. So, yeah.
Is this what you've been doing most of your life, is massaging and writing?
Yep. I've been doing massage for over 15 years now. I can't believe I'm that old, but yep, it's been that long.
And now this is the second book you've had published?
Second book, yep. This is the first one through Page. First one I did was back in 2012, but that one didn't go as far. That one was My Sweet Dreams Castle, The Magical Way I Put Myself to Sleep, and that was actually a hardcover. And people still love that one too. But yep, this is my first one through Page Publishing.
How do you tell people about your books?
I do a lot of stuff through the schools, actually, to do creative writing, PowerPoints, or how to write a short story, or, depending on if they're a second grader or in high school. And actually, my main passion is to get kids to use their imagination, because that is something that people don't use anymore. And they're like, oh, like you said, you're like, how did you come up with that? Well, it's like, use your imagination. That's how you come up with that. It's an art form that people think they don't have. It's just like riding a bike. You gotta work on it to get it to work, you know what I mean? To get good at it. So that's more or less what I want to try to inspire the little kids, is to use their imagination, get off the Xbox, and go outside and play with a stick, or
see what happens.
Yeah, right. Make a castle, pretend you're underwater, like Justin in my book, and you can breathe underwater. Oh my gosh, what would you do, and what would you see? So yeah, I just like to help people to become more creative, because that's where all the innovations come from, is somebody didn't think of it before, like the light bulb. Somebody had to think of that first. Know, so if we lose that creativity, we're in a world of hurt. I mean, just as a society. So yeah, that's my bigger calling, is I want to take care of the world, and I want to actually get people to protect the earth too. That's another underlying thing with this book, is he goes underwater and he finds out that the mer people hate him, hate us as humans, because we take what we want and we don't replenish and we just leave it,
Right.
So, yeah. So I am hoping that, this will turn around and make millions. Heck, that would be great if millions of kids get involved and they start doing some reform, and let's make sure that these oceans are taken care of and get this plastic so the whales don't eat it. And let's, make sure that the air is breathable so we don't get lung cancer when we're 20s, and, like, let's do all this. And then, and then I make the movie, and then we make a sequel, The Boy and the Magical Journey. That could be the next one. Who knows, where he goes back and, don't want to tell you too much, but, then make it like his mission in life to to wrong the rights and become almost like a superhero of the underwater world. How about
Oh, I like that, Tracy. Thank you. We have to take a really short break, but we're coming right back, so don't go anywhere. This is the Page Publishing Book Club.
Attention all authors. Page Publishing is looking for authors. Have you written a book and want to get it published? Page Publishing will get your book into bookstores and for sale online at Amazon, Apple iTunes, and other outlets. They handle all aspects of the publishing process for you: printing, cover art, publicity, copyright, and editing. Call 800-204-6099 now for your free author submission kit. That's 800-204-6099 for your free author submission kit.
We're back on the Page Publishing Book Club. I'm your host, Alice Stockton Rossini. You want to talk about inspiration? We're going to talk to Bobby Collins Sr. He wrote The Diary of Bobby Collins Sr., the story of his life, and it's a story a lot of people can learn from. Bobby.
Well, and to me, I was born in a very humble and poor environment. When I was born to my teenage mother, she gave me to an aunt, which was probably the best thing that could have happened to me. And I lived with my aunt, who was my surrogate mother, until I was in the 6th grade. Then I was returned to my mother, and we lived in extreme poverty, living in a 3-room shack with outdoor facilities, no running water, in Madison, Illinois. So I lived with my aunt in New Jersey, and we lived on a farm, and we were poor there. But we had a conventional family. She was married, and she had 3 other kids besides myself. I went to public schools in New Jersey up until the 6th grade. When I came to Illinois, it was an integrated school, and we were about the only 6 blacks in the school at the time. Then I came to Illinois, and I came to an all-black school. And then when I graduated from the 8th grade to high school, I went back to an integrated school. All along the way, I encountered different things in my life that stood out.
And regardless of what happened in your life, you managed to succeed.
Yes, my uncle, I give him a lot of credit because he was the one who put stability into my life and gave me the context of setting goals for what I wanted to do and what I would be. As a result of my getting into trouble one day, he came to me and he said, "What's your problem?" And I said, "Well, I'm tired of these people messing with me about not having no father." He said, "You're not the only one, and you're not going to use that as an excuse." See, I've never seen my father. I wouldn't know him if he walked in the door today. And he wouldn't let me use that as an excuse for bad behavior. He instilled in me the attitude that I can overcome anything. Got a job at a company called Olin Corporation. They hired me to mop floors and clean toilets as a janitor. Through the years, I was able to move up into management. And I became a general foreman. That means I was a department head with supervisors working for me, 200 to 300 employees at a time, and a large budget, a lot of responsibility, and that's the job I retired from.
Good for you. So your book is a message to anyone.
It's about motivation. It's about motivation. If you apply yourself and be prepared, when the opportunity comes, you can move on. The message is, be prepared for when the opportunity knocks, that you can march through that door and you can excel. See, I had 2 heroes in my life. One was my uncle, and one was Dr. Martin Luther King.
Why did you write this book now?
I'm at that point in my life where I thought I needed to tell the story, to get it out to young people. And my goal is to put it in every school and every correctional facility, because therein lies our problems, is that our young people have to get the message that they can and will achieve if they apply themselves. You know, if I had the resources, I would buy the book myself and put it in every school library and every correctional facility in the country.
Are you visiting schools? Are you visiting correctional?
Yes, I've been doing that for years through my community service work. I've been speaking at schools, to student body. I've been into the correctional facilities, and I've spoken to inmates, and I've had that access given to me by different people who asked me to do that, many times without any compensation.
Good for you. I mean, you're just the kind of guy we need for kids that think that they have no hope.
What I would like to have happen, to get lucky and have somebody with means to say, okay, I will buy X number of books and donate. Don't give me the money. Just buy the book and give it to the to your local school or your local prison or whatever. Put it in their libraries.
I bet you could find that person. That person has to be out there, Bobby. You've got a great message.
I hope so.
Yeah.
I hope so. Through my work, I've been the president of my chapter, 100 Black Men. I've been the head of the Urban League. I've been with the NAACP. I've been with regional school boards, public housing commissioner. Through that, I've come into contact with a lot of people, and I'm reaching out to those people to now help me with the book. And I'm trying to reach the larger population by trying to reach people with means that could afford to buy X number of books in bulk and donate them.
Bobby, good for you, man. I hope you find the help you need to get your message out there. Stephannie Arnold was born and raised in the Caribbean, where she shaped her love for food and cooking. Now she lives in Canada, where she writes cookbooks, including the Palate Teaser Food Stylings Volume 2.
The keywords for my recipes are the culinary art, family, nutritious, flavorful, spicy, and savory.
Okay, this is what you love to do.
I've been working on these cookbooks so far about 25 years. I used to have a restaurant, and the food that they served in the restaurant was the start of my cookbook. After the restaurant closed, I had my binder with my recipes that I used in the restaurant. Then I decided to add to it. And then from the binder, I started to type the recipes up and have them in a binder on different pages.
I mean, who even has a typewriter anymore?
No, I sold that when we moved. After we moved, I kind of abandoned my project for a few years, actually, until 2012. I decided to try to finish it and see if I could get it published. I tried to get a publisher, and I couldn't. Nobody wanted to see anything. And then I found out that I had to put my manuscript in a document online. So from my typewritten notes, I transferred everything to computer, and I am not very good at computer. I've only been doing it now since 2012. I had to learn very quickly. Then I found Page and decided to go with Page.
Well, we're glad you did, Stephannie. What are some of the tasty teasers we're going to find in your book?
Soups. I make a beef barley soup, which is very hearty. Yeah, a lot of soups I do because I think soups are very good for you, and they have everything in them, all the vitamins and minerals and things that you need. Nothing is thrown out. And I make a pork dish, which is very good and which I like to make. It's made with pork tenderloin with tarragon flavored sauce. Chicken Veronique is chicken breast with grapes.
Wait a minute, a sauce with grapes?
Yeah. You bake chicken in the sauce, and then towards the end of the cooking, you add some grapes to it, some green grapes. And then after the dish is complete, you garnish with fresh grapes.
Grapes and chicken. That sounds really good, Stephannie. Thank you. Finally, Pannell Spencer takes us back to the 60s with his book entitled The Mystical and Magical Miracle, a book of poems about the essence of life.
This book is basically about the title, The Mystical, Magical Miracle of Our Existence. Mankind, you and I, being the crown of that mystical, magical miracle. You and I being responsible for giving back to this miracle that we are. It is the story of life. It's the story of birth, and then recognizing the miracle of it. Being able to perceive and technic living color, being able to hear, being able to taste, feel, and touch. That's what this book is about. Appreciating this small moment that we experience upon this planet. And the poems kind of correlate to that concept and that idea that we should be a lot more grateful for this moment that we experience than many people take for granted. It all started way back in the 60s, when the movement began, the movement, the 60s movement. The 60s movement, the hippies,
Were you a part of that?
That's the era. I was born in 1951, my dear.
Okay.
And a lot of the works were taken from that era, which it appears as though we're repeating all over again. The same challenges of our planet still exist. Racism, wars, dissension, hunger. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I know exactly what you're saying.
Homelessness. In the richest nation in the world, homelessness.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Still being locked to the grid, still misusing and abusing Mother Nature's natural resources when we have an individual called Tesla who brought us free energy long, long ago that has been continually hidden from us.
What do you do in real life?
For a living?
Yeah.
To make my mortgage payment, I have a cleaning service in Montana that cleans commercial and residential homes. It's a crew of 4 people, and that's what's been making my mortgage payment while I have been able to paint and write. I'm reaching a point of retirement here, so I'm getting ready to pull all of these things out of a closet or a recessed space and put them on the market,
Yeah, you're entering the next chapter of your life, Pannell. And you say what? You've got 11 more manuscripts and dozens of artworks that you will soon release into the universe. That about wraps up another edition of the Page Publishing Book Club. Thanks so much for tuning in. Check out the Page Publishing Book Club anytime you want, any day you want at 710wor.iheart.com. I'm Alice Stockton Rossini. Thanks so much, Rob Barrett. Hey, have a little Halloween. See you next time.